You've arrived at your destination.
Sitting in my kitchen with a bar.
I'd like to welcome Sacramento artist Josh Knight onto the show.
Hey, what's good, y'all? Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you
Of
for
course.
coming.
So, before we even get into your music, I want to do this thing I always do. I have an icebreaker for the guests.
All right, for sure.
So I got a question for you.
What's up?
If you were on a deserted island, you can only listen to one album on that island. Which album would it be?
I don't get choices. I had to choose.
You gotta
All right, for
choose.
sure.
You gotta
I already. Oh man, it's a tie. Can I pick two or just one? It's one, huh?
Let's hear. Look, let's hear one. And
All right.
Let's hear one.
2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Okay.
Yes.
The other one, Channel Orange.
Okay.
Oh, the Frank and J. Cole.
Yeah. So those are the two.
I'm gonna allow a tie.
Yeah.
Because those are two real good albums. Those are two real good albums.
So
this is the very rare instance where I'll allow a tie.
all right. Well, hey, it's setting more standards. So I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying.
And did it looks like you brought us a gift today?
I did. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's a sort of a raffle for whoever fits best into it. But yeah, I did bring something. I don't know if y'all want to unwrap
Yeah,
it.
Let's see what Josh got us.
This is very rare. Oh, I like the color already.
T-shirt.
T-shirt. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Let's show the camera.
There you go.
Yeah.
Some merch. There's some more on the website, you know, for anybody interested.
And what website would that be?
www.joshknightmusic.com. Pretty simple.
I think this is Nige size, so he can go.
He can go home with that. Wait. Let me see if I got anything. I may have some stickers.
We got a little bag of tricks.
Away, man. Man, you got lucky. I have a couple of stickers.
Oh,
just
my
a
man.
couple of stickers.
You already know I'm about to put it on the laptop. Oh, that's clean.
That's nice.
Oh,
Josh Knight, man. Appreciate you. Josh, now let's get into your music.
All right.
So, just, off rip, what can you tell us about your approach to music making?
Man, I mean, obviously everyone's gonna say it's organic, you know what I'm saying? But it really does depend on either what I'm going for or just I get inspired, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like right now I'm in project mode. So I have like a goal, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes some tunes will pop into my head and I'm like, all right, I gotta get this down, or I gotta put it in my voice notes, or like at least some bars will pop into my head and I gotta open this in my notes. Even if I'm driving, sometimes I will pull over in traffic
And just start typing away.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, damn, I don't want to let this go because if I don't want to, and it might be 2 years before I go back to it, type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's there for me, so it's always like a database of creative flow. You know what I'm saying? But I always like to experiment as well too, because one thing I appreciate about music is everyone has a way to make music, but I always appreciate the progression of how you make the music as well too. Like for instance, the last project I did, this last summer project I did, there's a couple songs on there where I like made it in completely different ways. Like two of them, I'll say Starman and Uncle Ben's from the last project were made completely differently. And then Campfire was made completely. Campfire's like the single that we're kind of like pushing really hard right now.
Yeah.
And that one was made completely differently.
And so when you say made different, like how do you mean?
Okay, so for Starman, shout out to my homie Matt Blanco Beats. We went to college, UCSB together. That track already kind of gave me a vibe. So what I did was I kind of like researched. I don't know if this is weird to bring up, but I researched Will Smith. And
Before or after the Oscars?
This is last year, bro. This is I don't know. Hey, I don't know if I had some premonition or foresight or whatever, but I was like, Will Smith is a pretty big dude. The way he like comes up in the way he puts movies out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I seen this interview about him where he said, well, this is how I did it. We sat down. We said, well, what are the biggest things or the biggest hits in movies in the last whatever years. And he said, it was space, it was adventure, it was comedy, it was romance. He's like, so that's what I'm doing. So that's what they narrowed in on, and that's what they did, and they won the awards for it.
Right.
So I took a similar approach, and another video that I had seen, I believe this was Big Sean. I think it was Big Sean. He's saying he had movies in the background playing while he was creating and stuff.
Yeah.
So what I did, I took that concept. I found like a good space movie that was kind of like slept on. So I kind of wanted to bring that kind of twist to it, like maybe not a big blockbuster hit, but something that was like slept on a little bit.
You remember what the movie was?
Do you know what the movie was?
What was the movie?
Okay, it was called Starman, actually.
Oh, okay. So that's
the movie is also called Starman.
There we go. All right, there we go.
So that's like the concept that I took for making Starman. I played that movie in the background while I was like writing the notes and everything. So that's how that came about.
And then the other songs, they kind of just
were different. Uncle Ben's, I literally was like, I looked up a YouTube video. I was like, songwriting processes, and it's the one video I like clicked on real quick was, we're gonna make a video, or we're gonna make a song right here. I think it was a TED Talk almost. We're gonna make a song right here in the audience. Tell me of a situation. They said a situation. All right, somebody think of like a phrase that is kind of catchy for that situation. And he's like, okay, so let's fix these notes. And he's like, all right, now everyone sing this. So they did that. He's like, all right, let's think of like a connecting situation. So they did all that, and I was like, let me just do that right now.
So it's kind of like popcorn music making, basically.
Literally, when you say popcorn, is songs called Uncle Ben's, you know what I'm saying? So what I was doing, I was in my kitchen eating food, watching this YouTube video.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben's rice right there. I'm like, what am I doing right now? Sitting in my kitchen with a bowl of rice. I'm thinking about the future, and it looks so nice. Ooh, man. So that's, it came down to all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how that song came about. That's actually one of my favorite songs, is Uncle Ben's. We did a video for it with another group out here in Sacramento, Creative Culture.
Right.
I don't know if y'all check them out, but they make amazing stuff. So that's how that came about. Everything's like a little bit different, man. I always like the progression of how I make the music,
Right. So you like described, your process of making music, and the different ways you've created your music. What would you say to like listeners who haven't listened to you before? How would you describe your music?
So my inspirations, like where I get my sound and stuff kind of from, are John Legend and J. Cole, and like that's like the sound, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew up listening to Boyz II Men, Jagged Edge, all that stuff, and then John Legend was like the new school kind of version of that. Yeah. And that's kind of how Josh, my name came to be. Josh Knight's like my stage name. My government is a Nigerian last name, So, but it's representative of, John Legend. When I was coming up in college and thinking of how to go about creating my, my artist persona or whatever, my producer at the time was like, you need something that's kind of like gonna stick a little bit. Right. I was like, well, he's something like Chris Brown, something like Brian McKnight, something like John Legend, something like along those lines. I was like, all right, well, I like John Legend. He's my guy. But people always think it's Brian McKnight, but it's not. It's just happenstance. The Knight comes from like a flip on my last name, a little bit. The NK, and my last name, the N is first and the K is next. Okay. So I just flipped those, and there's a little bit of shout out to Nigeria in there too. When you spell it out, you'll see it. Yeah. So that's kind of how that came about. And I was like, all right, well, this is, and then the representation of Knight is like someone who is a human, right? Right. We're all human, but like sometimes you gotta like put on armor to go fight for what you believe in, whatever that may be. So that's the representation of like my music as well too, in a sense. I'm trying to be human in my music, but at the same time, there's messages that I know that I need to speak on. Yeah. And those messages are like, I like to, I talk about music progression. One of my big messages is personal progression as well too, personal development, spirituality for whoever it connects with. You know what I'm saying? Not just a religion, but working on your, connection to something bigger than yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, I feel like people feel limited. I've definitely felt limited in my past. Sometimes I still feel limited, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like partly that's what I do through the music is the message is don't limit yourself, you know what I'm saying? Find a way to break through somehow, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that's going to be for you, that's why you come down, you know what I'm saying? That's why you are born. You got to figure that out yourself. That's the purpose, you know what I'm saying? That's what made me start. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I don't want to be throwing into everything else that's been already happening, you know what I'm saying? I got to, and also I think about the people under my kids coming up who are probably, I don't have kids right now, but my future kids who will be listening to music, I already seen how powerful it was going to be back then. I was like, I don't want to have conversation to my kids, oh, I don't want you to listen to that. I don't want you to listen to that. You know what I'm saying? So if I can inspire somebody else as well to
make positive music.
I don't want to sound cliche, but yeah, positive music, but not just positive music, but some more of that. You know what I'm saying? Talk about real stuff, but some more of that. You know what I'm saying? For people to, because it's a vibration that people will latch on to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's real. Like when you feel it in someone when like, oh, that's bad vibes over there. You know what I'm saying?
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the versatility of like your sound. Your project from summer 2021, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was impressive the way you'll switch sounds, not really track to track, as much as like even within a track, right? So you might come on, with the auto-tune rap hook, and then just you straight rapping, and then it ends with you actually using your singing voice. So like talk about it.
I do it because I do it to flex. No, I do it because I know the trends in music. People are just the attention span is just not what it was, or not what it's not. It's shorter these days.
Right.
So I know that that's a little bit of a hook sometimes to like bring somebody back into the track. Like, yo, what? Wait, what? You know what I'm saying? Type of stuff.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I do it, and also because I also didn't want to box myself in from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in the future, when artists try to change their sound, the fans are like, yo, nah, go back to that.
Right.
But preemptively, I was like, well, if I already come in doing X, Y, and Z, and be a master at that, which you can't say
people
anything.
can't be surprised later if you take your sound in a certain direction.
Exactly.
Like, I gave you the whole platter early.
You already know, like this is what I do, so that's why I do that. And I love that's I couldn't decide. Like, I don't know if I want to sing, I don't know if I want to rap. I just like making music. Hence Josh Knight Music, you know what I'm saying? So I find a way to like blend it all together in my own way. I know everyone's doing that as well these days, but I find a way to do it in my own way with my own influences, and my own, added style as well.
Right. And I feel like that makes you a real outside the box artist. But like, which of those, like when it comes to auto-tune singing, auto-tune rapping, just singing, by yourself or just rapping, like which of those are you most comfortable with? If you had to kind of just like lean on one, you know what I mean?
If I needed to lean on one, it would probably be acoustic singing.
Yeah.
That's how, I kind of got started, bread and butter. It was like a weird trail that started at the end, like it's senior year in high school, that I just followed all the way through college. I had a piano teacher who was like, I also do, she's also the choir teacher. She's like, I heard the grapevine. You might have heard, but I'm busy as well with sports. Big sport athlete and all that stuff. Like, I'm busy. I can't. She's like, all right, well, we need somebody. I was like, well, the last quarter of senior year is usually like, instead of the workout hours, since I'm done with the football season, I had basically a free period or something like that. I was like, I'll join choir during that period or whatever. Did that. I ended up joining like the little barbershop quartet that they had in high school. I was testing, this is stuff I did. at home. Probably some of my friends were like, hey, this, Josh did this a little bit. And I was like, didn't think anything of it. This is like, because my Nigerian parents were like, you're going to be a doctor, which I'm a nurse today. But, that's what the original plan was. And so from that, it was good feedback. I was like, well, let me see in college if I can continue this. I joined an acapella group in college, had to try out again, I made tryouts of like 84 people tried out, 4 people got in. I was one of them, So that I was like, okay, let me just continue. I got into well, it was around then, I started listening to Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
And I was like, how old is this dude? And he's like a year younger than me doing all this. This is when I was listening to acid rap. I was like, this dude's doing this and he's younger than me. I got to figure something out, So I started writing my first song around then. And then while I was writing my first song is when I found like my manager / producer who helped me think of Josh Knight and everything. It was like that same day, like the next day. And I was like, all right, well, let me just keep following this, you know what I'm saying? In my fraternity, they made me do this like philanthropy. It's basically a talent show. Like all the Greek groups pick somebody, and it's basically a show, and whoever wins wins. I ended up winning that whole thing as well too. I'm just like, all right, well, I can't just like, you know what I'm saying? I can't just like not do this.
Are you like, something seems to be
working. Something
pattern
is there. I'm seeing a little pattern. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, I always love the rap. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, while I'm doing this, let me also see about this as well too. And I, my producer, once I did something for him, he was like, yo, this is you made this? I was like, yeah, dude. So he's like, all right, I'm not gonna bullshit. I'm not gonna mess with you. Like, this is some cool stuff. Like, I'm trying to find some artists out here to like do a little label or whatever. So I was like, all right, yeah, I bet. I'm just like, 2 days ago was about, let me see about doing this for real. So it's crazy how things line up when you decide to do what you need to do in your life.
Right.
So that's kind of how everything started. It was the singing first, and then I started rapping when I met my producer. But I've been like rapping, like just for fun. Just like never really thought to add it to a serious thing I did musically as well. It was just not a thing, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, all right, well, let me just see what it is already. I started loving J. Cole at the time as well too. Chance and J. Cole were like big influences on my verbal delivery of rap and the rap tone. So that's how that became a thing.
So, you dropped, I think 3 projects in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you dropped one of them last year. Do you have any like upcoming music? You did say you was in project mode. Yeah. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. I'm in project mode. We got a goal to put it out in the summer, July, June. You know what I'm saying? But this one is probably the most focused project I've done. A lot of things have happened, for me in the last year, thank God. I got some cool people that I'm working with, and we're really trying to make a big push, and they've kind of overhauled how I've been doing things myself in the past, which is a good thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you get to the certain levels, you have to change certain things, you know what I'm saying? Basically, things are done a little bit, like, a lot more professionally now. We're throwing a lot more money into things now. So, which I'm funding, though, so I'm working at another level than I've worked at. So this ain't all sweet.
This is out-of-pocket operation.
Right.
I am the guy. I'm the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's part of it as well too. And I'm learning how to like focus and still manage and everything. And at the end of the day, it's your business. So I'm excited for people to see the project when it's done, because it is it's a huge leap in what I've been doing, in like the way I go about the workflow and like who I've been working with. So I also appreciate that the people I'm with kind of understand what I'm making as well too. So with that combination, I think it's going to be and the way we're going about it, we don't want to go about it the same way everybody goes about it. I don't want to give away too much, but we want to do a nice focused marketing release and kind of bring everybody into like the world, I guess, to speak of Josh Knight, and like get the branding like on point. So this thing is kind of like a staple or like a pinpoint in like, all right, this is the brand of Josh Knight kind of stuff. The other stuff have kind of been like, I say everything's like an experiment. Even this is an experiment to me. I always think my next work is going to be my best work.
Right.
I always think that. Like, I always think this is my favorite until my next one. You know what I'm saying?
But this is like a more concise, even if you're still experimenting with sound, this is a more concise introduction to the world of Josh Knight.
Exactly. And I'm not even necessarily experimenting. I might be always experiment, but I think I'm fine-tuning and experimenting, but I'm also fine-tuning a lot of what I already think I do really well. And just like bring it up to a better level while experimenting where I need to experiment. So
sounds dope.
Yeah.
All right, well, Josh, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Thank you for letting me share my story.
Of course.
And if you just wanted to kind of let us know where you could be found on Spotify, Apple, social media, all that.
Yeah, y'all can find me on IG, Twitter, Spotify, everywhere. Josh Knight Music.
KNIGHT.
KNIGHT. JOSHKNIGHT. If you got Clubhouse, I'm on there. If you got Reddit, I'm on there. If you're on Oculus, tap in the DMs. Yeah.
All right, well, thank y'all for listening to another episode of Keys in D Minor.
Gang, gang.
This is Josh, Nige, and Keys signing off.
Thank you.
Peace.